Bruv, I don't usually do these kind of videos, yeah, but we got to talk about this today, bruv. So, how are we going to begin? We need to talk about this kind of fraudulent activity that goes on in this music industry, and I need you guys to be aware of it. And I'm not telling you this story as a point of just angrily ranting on the internet, but I want you to learn from my experiences so you can avoid going through similar things. Now, I had a track. I'm not going to mention who the engineer is, who the artist is, or anything like that, because I want to keep it professional, and regardless, I just think that it's not good to be putting people's names out there and talking people's business like that. That's not what I'm trying to do. But I've mixed the track. I've done an amazing job mixing this track. But the artist still decides, they're going to get it mixed by someone else. Now, when they go to get it mixed by someone else, I also send over another version of my mix, being like, by the way, this is just like my finished mix, because initially I did like a rough mix, sent a finished mix. They were like, they absolutely love it, but they'd already engaged another engineer to mix it. So like, can I send stems? So I sent over stems how I always send over stems, which is how I had them pre-mix, because of course I'm not going to send over my stems as they are. So I send those over. Now, the artist and the management and everyone, they've sent my mix to the mix engineer as the reference mix. So the mix engineers come back to me and basically said, can you send your stems like with everything on it? Bounce it again. And then they also asked me what was on your master bus. So I sent the stems again, and I also sent them a video of what was on my master bus. I sent them my Pulsar modular mix bus tutorial. Bearing in mind, this is a big boy mix engineer who's asking me to send this stuff, by the way. So I send that over. They then come back and go, it still doesn't sound quite the same. Can you bounce all of your stems through your master bus with everything on it and send it over? Now, at this point, I'm like, this is taking the mick. But I have close relationships with everyone involved, so I don't want to rock the boat, because I also know how important these releases are to these individuals, right? So I end up just doing it. I send it all over. Song comes out. I now go to the credits. I'm nowhere to be found. I'm a non-existent participant. And I did several other things during this process, because you guys know I do vocal engineering, even with Leanne and things like that, but I do this with many other people as well. So I've done everything: vocals, vocal production, engineer, recorded, and then done a mix. And then I've sent all of those stems over, and then that person, who's a massive mix engineer, is now mixed on top of what I did. And even when I heard it, I was like, my mix genuinely, I believe, actually sounded better. And the management even said, to be honest, your mix actually sounds great, everyone loves it, but we'd already paid this person and engaged them to mix it. And obviously it's a big name. I'm credited nowhere. So when this person inevitably does a mix with the masters in the future, and they're doing 0.5 dB at 10K, just know that I had P42 on there, I had saturation, I had 3 different compressors on the stem before it even got sent to this guy. And you're literally going to be there going, why doesn't my thing sound like this? Why does it sound so good? I'm doing what they're doing. And I'm not saying it's all engineers, but a lot of these big guys, they're receiving their stems polished. If you drop my stems, if I send you stems, if you drop my stems onto the page, my stems will sound finished. So really what this individual has done is stem mastering at the most, bruv. But this is how the industry goes. It doesn't actually matter if you are someone who's a better mix engineer than another engineer. When you get to a certain level, this is how it works. I'm going to put you on game. If you don't have a name brand, or you don't have big songs under your belt that you've mixed, people actually don't care how good you are. They will go with the guy who's maybe not as good, but who has a name, because it's just how the industry works at this level. If I'm being honest, it's the same with production. You could be a better producer, but most artists are going to go with the name brand over someone who's dope. And the reason why is there's this thing that's happened in the industry where a lot of people in these positions now, honestly, this is why I said I'm not mentioning names, because I'm really being honest today, they don't have musical ears, they don't know how to hear what's good, they don't have good taste. So all they're relying on is previous success to gauge and judge their next decision. They're not using musical intuitiveness. They have no intuition when it comes to what sounds good. Most of these guys, the old school A&Rs, they knew. That's why you would have all of these new engineers, new producers that will break through, because they'll hear it and go, this is incredible. These days, it's, oh, raw, you was on da-da-da's album? Sick. Oh, you mixed da-da-da for da? Okay, dope. And I've had this several times. And then my position is, in order to break through or get to a certain level, I would need to have a big name credit under my belt. But in order to get a big name credit under my belt, I need to have had a big name credit underneath my belt. So essentially, what you end up being in is this position where you're essentially waiting for someone to just take a chance on you. And then when someone takes a chance on you, then all of a sudden, you're the next big thing. But the reality is you're probably good enough right now. You're probably talented enough right now. But it doesn't matter because you don't have the credit. And the reason why I say all of this is because building relationships with people is so important. Even if you're a better mix engineer than someone else, if that A&R has a great relationship with an engineer, they're going to always feed them work, and they're not really going to pass it to you unless they fall out with that guy. And this is how it works. Work on your talent, work on your gift, be excellent, be so brilliant at what you do. But once you get to that point, honestly, you're going to need some friends. You need to be friendly. You need to be a nice person and easy to work with. So even though I've taken an absolute L on this from the outside perspective, because it's like, bruv, I'm nowhere to be seen and I know all of the work I've done. My thing is, I'm maintaining my relationships. Now I've reached out, sent an email, they're gonna fix the credits, they're gonna put me as an additional engineer and all of those things, you know what I mean? That's gonna get sorted. But this happens so much and people don't get credited and it doesn't get sorted. But make sure in this industry, your relationships is everything, because through your relationships is how you're going to get that thing to your name. And then once you get that thing to your name, honestly, you're set for the next 10 years. You just ride the wave. Like, honestly, when I think about all of the work that I get, it's based off of stuff I probably did like 8 years ago. Do you know what I mean? And then now it's like I have new stuff I'm doing that's coming out and I have exciting projects that I'm working on, but it all feeds on top of each other. This industry doesn't care about how talented you actually are. All it cares is he Nike? Is he Gucci? What's his brand? Who's he worked with? Bro, it does my head in, but unfortunately, it's the reality of the people who are in the positions making the decisions. So yeah, it's a rant, but it's also not a rant because it's educational. But yeah, I'm on my way to GetFest now. But yeah, I had to share this with you guys. There won't be too many other videos like this, don't worry. But yeah, man, stay vigilant out here, guys.